So more and more I'm seeing players utilize the backhand lob rather than just the forehand lob. And so right here, we're seeing Ben lob from the backhand side over his opponents. And now there's two important parts of this lob. The first is the setup. You only want to do this lob when you're pretty far over towards the left sideline this way, because when you're doing that, you now can speed the ball up straight down the line. And because that's a threat, this player is now first covering that line. And so their anticipation and their weight is probably ever so shifting that way. Why is that important? That's important because we want to lob right over their backhand shoulder. And so by making them really respect a ball going that way, it's hard for them to take a step to their left and get a forehand on that ball out of the air. Best case, they might be able to do a backhand flick, which normally that's just not a great shot for that player. Now, the second key is the target we're aiming for. What you don't want to do is take this ball all the way across the court, because once again, you don't want to let your opponent get a forehand out of the air. And when you do that, one, it takes longer for it to get to the ground when you're going cross court, but two, you let this player take a few steps back and they're a lot more likely to get a forehand on that ball. So really, you should be targeting kind of, I would say, from the midpoint of this half of the court to the center line. And we'll see Ben drops it kind of right on the edge right there. And that's because now this player is moving that way ever so slightly. And you see, you make this player run at that angle to get to this ball, which you can't really hit an overhead at that angle. You have to do some sort of like swooping forehand, which is just not a great recipe. But we'll see in this case, Ben is actually able to get the ball down. Martinez-Vick isn't able to get anything on it out of the air. And now here's a play I love off of a lob. If your opponent tries to drop the ball back, I love just killing the ball right there in the kitchen and dropping it. And why? Because I want you to look at Martinez-Vick right now. He's multiple feet behind the baseline, and because he had to run back to get that ball, his momentum was taking him backwards. He's not in a great position to move up. And so Ben drops the ball, which I love. It wasn't the best drop. As you can see, it definitely moves upward before heading down. So Martinez-Vick is able to get to the ball, and they do end up winning the point. But that's not the point here. The backhand lob is just such a good weapon. And so the two things I want you to remember again, you only want to do it when the ball is over far on this sideline. You don't want to be doing it when you're hitting the ball around this area, even though that probably more than likely would be a forehand. And your target kind of from here to here. Don't be taking that ball all the way across the court.